Okay, so we're up to Vav, which is on page Samach Zayin, at the bottom. V'yesh levazel pi ma shemamshich b'maimer the isa bazer. So there's an idea that the Rebbe Rashab teaches in a Maimer that says the following. He quotes the Zohar. The Zohar says, "Ezu Chassid, who is a Chassid?" Meaning, who's a pious person, a Chassid? What makes you pious? Hamischassid im koinai. It's somebody who does kindness with his Creator. That's what the Zohar says. What makes you a Chassid? It's somebody who does kindness with his Creator. The reason why we're explaining this is because we previously said in the Maimra that only a Chassid is able to draw down the divine light that is beyond this world. There are three levels we spoke about: a Chassid, a Yashar, and a Tzaddik. A Chassid is the highest level out of the three: Chassid, Yashar, and Tzaddik. And only a Chassid, only someone on that level, is able to draw down the divine light that is beyond this world into this world. So to explain that, we're explaining now what does it mean to be a Chassid. So the Zohar says a Chassid is somebody who does kindness with his Creator. What does that mean? Hainu, d'inyan shel Chassid hu shavaydasi hi loy bishvil atzmai b'chtei sheyadavik belakus ela tzorich gavoya k'mvur b'tanya. What that means is that a Chassid, to have earned the title Chassid in a spiritual sense, pious, you have to be on a level where your service of Hashem is not for yourself, in order that you should be connected to Hashem, but it's for Hashem's sake. Your mitzvahs, your serving of Hashem, the work you're doing, it's all for Hashem. It's not for you. It's not for you, not that you should reach a high level, or that you should be connected to Hashem. It's that Hashem's purpose should be fulfilled. It's for Him. It's not for you. As it explains in Tanya, that the real level of Chassid, this is a very high level of a tzaddik, is not an average person. Somebody who's serving Hashem on the level that they're doing it for Hashem. They have no ulterior motive, they have no selfish indulgence in their avodah. We're talking about avodah, but nothing selfish about it. It's purely for Hashem. They're doing it for Him, with no self in mind. And so the Rebbe Rashab explains in that Maimer, the divine light that is drawn down through Chasidim when they serve Hashem, is from the inner aspect of Atik. What's Atik? You might recall, you might not, but we did in a Maimer, we did in a Maimer earlier that in the sphere of Keser, which is the heart, which is beyond the 10 spheres, the Keser, the crown. Within Keser, there's two levels called Atik and Arich. Arich is the outer level of Keser that has somewhat of a relationship with that which comes next. Atik is the deeper level, the higher level of Keser that is completely beyond Hishtalshus, the system of creation, completely beyond and higher. Within Atik itself, there's Pnimius Atik and Chitzonius Atik, the outer level of Atik and the inner level of Atik. The inner level of Atik is obviously the highest of the high, and that's the level of divine light that is drawn down through a Chassid, somebody who serves Hashem on the level of Chassid, with complete selflessness. They draw down Pnimius Atik. Now we're going to see in the course of this moment what that means at length, what this means, but these are the words. So that's why a Chassid is higher than a Tzaddik and even higher than a Yashar. Right? The three levels that we mentioned. Arich. Because the divine light that is drawn down through a Tzaddik, an average Tzaddik, normal Tzaddik, is from the outer level of Keser, which is called Arich. The avodah of Yesharim, who are a level higher than Tzaddikim, they draw down from the inner level of Keser, Atik. But the avodah of Chasidim, who are even higher than Yesharim, Atik is from the inner level of Atik itself. Right, so we've got three levels of tzaddikim. There's what's called a tzaddik, a yashar, and a chassid in ascending order. And the difference between them is the level of divine light that they draw down. The because there's three levels of godly light that is beyond this world. All of these lights are beyond the world, but in three levels. There's Arich, the lower level of Keser. Then there's Atik, the higher level of Keser. And then there's Pnimius Atik, the inner level of that higher level. So a Tzaddik draws down Arich, a Yashar draws down Atik, but a Chassid draws down Pnimius Atik. Why? Fourth last line. Because the avodah of a chassid is with absolute bittul, meaning that they've gone above their own metzius, their own existence, their own ego, completely transcended that. So therefore, the divine light that they draw down through their avodah is from the essence that is above existence, which is called pnimius atik. Right? We also said this in the previous Maimer that we learned, that you can serve Hashem with your existence, and then you'll draw down Hashem's existence. You can serve Hashem beyond your existence, having transcended your existence, and then you draw down the light that transcends Hashem's existence, as it were. For us, for a human being, existence means my ego, myself. Whereas for Hashem, existence means his spheres, the 10 spheres, his shtalshus, the system that he created. When you transcend your existence and serve Hashem with total bittul, so total self-nullification, so then the light you draw down is from higher than Hashem's existence, as it were, as higher than his shtalshus. And so a chassid who's serving Hashem with complete transparency, they've totally transcended self, so then the light they're drawn down is the one that transcends all levels, which is pnimius atik, the deepest level. So, this will all be explained in depth. The Zer Shomer Azal, second last line. This is what it means in the Gemara. There's a statement that says the following: There's a saying in the Gemara that says that tzedakah you can only give to poor people, but gemilas chasadim, acts of kindness, can be to the poor or to the rich. Right? This is what it says in the Gemara. What does it mean? Well, quite simply, if you want to give charity, tzedakah, so you need a poor person to give charity. You can't go to a rich person and give them tzedakah. They don't need it. But when it comes to acts of kindness, doing somebody a favor, helping somebody out, so then even a wealthy person needs kindness, needs to receive a favor sometimes. So the Gemara there points out that there's a certain mile and advantage of gemilas chasadim, of kindness, over tzedakah. The tzedakah is limited to only poor people. Whereas Gemilas Chasadim you can do to anybody, including a rich person. That's what the Gemara says. What's that connected to our discussion?
Serves with kindness. Serves with kindness. The Creator. Can we learn?
Chassid. Yeah. The Gemilas Chasadim is a Chassid. Tzedakah is tzaddik. The words tzedakah is the avodah of a tzaddik. Gemilas chasadim is the avodah of a chassid. So how does it work? The fact that kindness, gemilas chasadim, can be given also to the rich, shows that chesed must be higher than wealth. The fact that you can do chesed to a wealthy person means that even a wealthy person can be a recipient of chesed. So chesed comes from a level higher than wealth. Now what does that mean? Umavir, over the page, the gimel yonim elet tzedakah shiras the chesed, hem gimel madregas bam shacha de lamaylam shenim shachim b'malchus. And so the Rebbe Rashab explains that we've now got three things. You've got tzedakah, you've got wealth, and you've got chesed. That's what we're talking about now. And these three things are three ways that we can draw down light into Malchus from a Kabbalistic perspective. Tzedakah shehi milui chesaron de machzor shebi ata mitzuv la'ashroi hu hamshachas hagilui sheshayach lemalchus. Sheideze nismal lechesaron shala. So what does it mean tzedakah in the spiritual sense? We know what tzedakah is in the physical sense. It means giving somebody charity. But halachically it says that what are you supposed to give a person? What they're missing. Meaning, depending on the person's status, what they're used to living, how they used to be, that's how much you should give them tzedakah. So in halakha it says that that a person who was of average means and they have gone broke, so you have to try and give them enough that they should live according to their previous life, the way they were when things were okay. Whereas somebody who's very wealthy and they've gone down, so you have to try and bring them back up to what they were missing in tzedakah. How that practically works, I don't know. But that's what it says in halacha is you have to give them what they were missing. You don't have to give them a more luxurious life than they were missing, but you have to try and bring them back to where they were. That's what tzedakah is in the physical sense. What does that mean spiritually? Spiritually, that means, remember here we're talking about drawing divine light into the world. So who is the recipient? The world. What is the donation? Divine light here. We're not talking about money, we're talking about divine light. Bring it into the world. What does a tzaddik do? A tzaddik brings a divine light into the world that it's missing. The light that is missing in the world, the tzaddik is able to bring it into the world. But not more than what was missing. Meaning, the tzaddik can draw down a divine light that has some relationship with the world, that the world could have but doesn't have it. That's what a tzaddik can draw down, which is called arich. That's the light of arich. But there's a level of drawing down that's even higher than that, where you can draw down light that the world didn't even ever have, didn't even deserve. A luxurious light, a light that's beyond the means of this world. That's already a yashar and a chassid, which we'll see. So,
does the yashar connect to something? Did we learn that?
We'll see. This Maimon doesn't go into too much the yashar, but we'll see. So second line, tzedakah shemilei chesaron, giving tzedakah, which means fulfilling that which is missing, like it says in the Gemara, that when you give tzedakah, you have to give what the person is missing. You don't have to make them wealthy. You just have to give them what they were missing. In a similar way, tzedakah spiritually means drawing down a level of revelation that malchus, which is the sphere that relates to this world, can handle. That which it's missing is fulfilled. That is coming from the level of arich, the outer level of keser, which is a level that does somewhat relate to this world. So just like giving tzedakah to a poor person is you give them according to the means that they are used to, so too a tzaddik draws light into the world that this world can handle, that it somewhat relates to. Because arich is the source of all the other spheres. It's the source of everything. It's just that it's higher and beyond them. So therefore it's included in light that has some relationship to this world. So therefore drawing down the light of arich means drawing down light that this world can relate to somewhat. So when we describe someone as a tzaddik, it's because their avodah is tzedakah. Because what tzaddikim draw down is the chitzonius keser, the outer level of keser. Because that is drawing down a light that is fulfilling what lacks in the world, a light that has some relationship with the world, which is arich. So tzaddik gives tzedakah. Yeah?
Was it this moment that started with the oath to be a tzaddik? Was that?
I don't think.
Wasn't this?
I think so. That's Tanya.
No, but I thought
did you mention it?
No? Oh, maybe that's in Melbourne. No. So that's, I mean, even with that in mind, that's the base. This is the basic level for every Jew, like to be a tzaddik. Is that what it means here? You can fill the gap that is normal.
Yeah. Meaning to draw down light that the world could handle, just doesn't have it.
Right. That's the starting point.
Yeah. That's the lowest level of a tzaddik. Right. So we're still talking about a tzaddik here, but we're talking about the lowest level of a tzaddik. Because what's he drawing down? He's not drawing down light that's already in the world. He's drawing down light from keser, which is beyond the world, but the level of keser that somewhat has a relationship with the world, which is arich, the lowest level of keser. This will become clearer as we go through more in the paragraph. Then the second level was ashirus. Ashirus means wealth. You're not giving tzedakah, but you're making somebody wealthy. And that means you're giving somebody more than is just fulfilling their lack. You're making somebody wealthy, you're giving them luxuries. That's beyond the obligation of tzedakah, right? Halachically, tzedakah is you have to give them what they're missing. To make somebody wealthy, that's already beyond tzedakah. You're going further. So in the spiritual world, that represents drawing down a light that is higher than having any connection to Malchus, to this world, which is called Pnimis HaKeser Atik. That's the level of Atik. And that's the avodah of a Yashar. And we don't go into it so much here, but a Yashar is a higher than a Tzaddik, and they draw down a light, not just the light that is in potential ready for the world, but a light that's completely beyond being in this world, which is the light of Atik. But then the Chesed, kindness, doing an act of kindness, which we said even somebody who's already rich, you can be kind to them. So Chesed, who's l'mayla gam meshiros, that's even higher than wealth, because even somebody wealthy you can receive kindness. That is drawing down of Pnimius Atik, the inner level of Atik, which is completely beyond this world. So that's what it means, that who is a chassid? Somebody who does kindness with his creator. One of the reasons why somebody who serves Hashem without any selfish motive but purely for Hashem's sake is called a chassid, which comes from the word chesed, because his avodah is with absolute nullification, he's totally transcended himself. The divine light that he draws down is from Pnimis Atik, which is an act of chesed, of kindness. That's why he's called a chassid. Again, we said there's three levels. We said there's tzedakah, fulfilling someone's lack. There's wealth, which is where not just lack, but you've actually got more than you need. And then even if somebody's wealthy, you could give them chesed, give them kindness. Even a wealthy person needs to receive kindness. So it's even higher than that. So in avodah as well, there's three types of spiritual charity or donation or help to the world. There's a tzaddik who draws down that which is lacking in the world, a light that is beyond this world but has a connection to this world. There's a yashar who draws down wealth into this world, a light that's not, this world is not deserving of, it's completely beyond this world. That's atik. But then there's a chassid who draws down a light that even the yashar can't do, and that is a light of pnimius hakeser, the inner light that has no relationship whatsoever with this world. Just like a wealthy person you can be kind to, so too the world, even if it's got chetzonius atik, but only the chassid can bring down pnimis atik.
So how does it hang here? How does it be part of this? What is it drawn into?
Well, that we're going to see through the Maimer, that what we're talking about here is taking the world, which is a place of darkness, and bringing light into it. And there's three ways of bringing that light in. There's bring it in by force, like that it should crash into the world. There's bring it in a way that the world is harmonious with that light. And then there's an even deeper and higher level where the light and the darkness become one. They're actually united in no difference. That the Maimon is going to explain that at length, how that works. But it's a bit like the good and evil battle within your own self. That there's bringing goodness in by force, subduing yourself, your personality, your negative traits, and bringing goodness in. There's working on yourself, refining yourself, that you should be in harmony with the goodness. And then there's an even higher level, which the Maimon will explain, a more subtle level where you don't have to fight even. You don't have to work. It comes naturally. That's the highest level. So let's do Zayin. This is all setting the foundations for this mimer. It's a bit of work, this mimer. Zayin v'yeshlam. Demash kosiv yoducho v'chasidecha yivarchucha shamaylev adam shacha bracha shaydi chasidecha hiu sham shacha hi b'makom she'ein shach b'yasaga ela hayda bilvad. So we said earlier in Ashrei we say a pasuk that says yoduch Hashem kol masecha v'chasidecha yivarchucha. Right? We say this several times a day. Yoduch Hashem kol masecha v'chasidecha yivarchucha, which means that all of your creations will acknowledge you, Hashem, and your chasidecha, will bless you. That's what the pasuk means. That all of your creations will acknowledge you, and your chasid will bless you. Now, early in this moment, we explained, what does that verse mean? To acknowledge something means that even though I don't really get it, but I acknowledge it. I don't really understand it or relate to it, but I acknowledge its existence. There's a level of Hashem that we cannot relate to, but we can acknowledge. That's the level of Hashem that's beyond this world. Keser, the crown which is beyond. That level, chasidecha, but a chasid, yivarchucha, actually blesses you. The word blessing means to draw down. That a chasid is able to draw down the level that everybody else can only acknowledge. Yeah? That's what that verse means. And that's what this section of the Mimer is based on that verse. Meaning, the level of godliness that nobody can grasp, we can only acknowledge, that's the level that a chassid draws down. Bracha, to bless, means to draw down. So what's that saying? What that means is this third line. Ki emitis inyan haydahu b'pnimis atik. Because the level that really we can only acknowledge, we can't understand, is pnimis atik, the inner level of atik. And a chassid is able to actually draw down that level that can only be acknowledged by the rest of us. A chassid can actually draw it down. But gam yeshlam, we could also say she'ikar achidush b'yoducha yivarchucha hu sham shacha ma'makom shebai hu inyan hayda earn so shalom mishalchlus hi ba'ofen de bracha yivarchucha hainu sham shacha hi b'derech memela v'am shacha ba'ofen zeh hi be'ikar azeh chasidecha dafka. But the real chidush, the real news that this verse is saying, is that when a chassid draws down this level of pnimis atik, in what way does he do it? In a way of bracha. Now we said earlier in the Maimer that there's a big difference between a bracha and tefillah. You remember what we said? There's a difference between davening for something or receiving a bracha for something. If you daven for something, what are you doing? You're asking Hashem, please give this to me. And it may or may not be fulfilled. When you get a bracha, so a person who's able to give a bracha is a person who sees what is in potential and demands that it should happen. A bracha is not a request, a bracha is a command. It should happen. So a tzaddik who's able to give a bracha, or a chassid in this case, who's able to give a bracha, means a demand that it should happen and it happens. Unlike prayer, tefillah is a request that it should happen and it may or may not happen. When we said that there's a level that we can only acknowledge and the chassid is able to draw that down, the word we use is yivarchucha, v'chasidecha yivarchucha. A chassid is able to make it happen automatically, not request that that the divine light should come down, but it happens. It happens without any delay, like in a way of a bracha. Meaning, the fact that you can draw down a light from a level that can only be acknowledged, that's beyond understanding. Tzaddikim and Yesharim can do that too. They can draw down light from the world of Keser, from the world that's beyond. Because the level of arich and certainly the chitzonius atik are also above ishtalshlus. There's no way of understanding them, and a tzaddik and a yasha can draw them down as well. The difference is drawing down light from arich or chitzonius, the outer level of atik, which tzaddikim and yesharim can do. That has to be with an action, with work, with effort. But to draw it down in a way that's automatic, that's smooth, that's not a battle, that only the chassid can do. As will be explained further in the Maimer. So this is all still very lofty and abstract, what we're talking about. It's very hard to relate to. In the next section, the Rebbe starts to bring it down much more into our reality. And I'll just introduce it. We won't do it inside, but I'll just introduce the idea. That in the next section, the Rebbe is going to give a metaphor to understand these two levels of Keser, Arich and Atik. To understand what they mean. The metaphor that Chassidus uses to understand these is within the human being. Because we know all the levels in the divine reality are also found in the human reality. Because we're made in the image of Hashem. So, the 10 spheres, which are in the world of Atzilus, from Chachma downwards, within the human being, are also reflected in our inner personality, our intellect and our emotion. Right? There's the 3 intellectual faculties, and then there's the 7 emotional faculties. They're the 10 spheres. So what's Keser then? Keser, which is above the 10 spheres. If intellect of the human being is the Chachma bin Adas of Hashem, so then what's Keser in the human being? What's higher and beyond intellect?
Yes. Atik and Arich.
But in the human being, what is it? Atik and Arich in Hashem.
Like the soul?
What is it in the human being? It's Atik and Arich are 2 faculties in the human being that are higher than intellect. That drive intellect and drive all the other faculties, but are higher than them. And they're called Ratzon and Tainug. Ratzon means will, Tainug means pleasure. So Ratzon means your motivation, your drive, what you want. That is something that's higher than intellect. What you want to do, what you want to be, where you want it to be, the idea of Ratzon is your motivation, your drive. That's something that's higher than intellect. It's not a conscious thing most of the time. It's something that's higher than consciousness. It drives intellect. Your mind is going to be much more likely to understand a topic if you want to understand it, if you want to know it. If you don't want to know it, so then your intellect is not going to focus on it. If you don't have a desire for something, if you don't have a drive for something, so then you're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to be excited about it. It's the want for something that makes all the other faculties work. Ratzon is deeper than intellect. Right? So if you remember from school, you're in a class that you weren't interested in. You didn't want to be there because you didn't like the teacher or you didn't like the subject or whatever it was. When you're sitting in a class and you don't want to be there, so you don't understand. Your mind doesn't work. You're not open to the ideas. You don't get it because you don't have a motivation for it. If you're motivated, then you understand better. Your mind works better. It's the same brain in 2 different classes. But one class you like the teacher and you're interested in the subject. The other class you're not. So this class you do well and that class you don't do well. Why? Because your mind is simply switched off in that class. So nothing sinks in because you're not motivated. When you are motivated, so then suddenly your mind works. That's Ratzon. The power of Ratzon is the driving factor behind all of our other faculties. If you're motivated, if you want it, so then you'll do it. And what makes you want it? What makes you motivated? What motivates you? Why do you want this and not that? So that's a deeper faculty which is called pleasure. Tainug. That if I have pleasure in it, if this is what gives me pleasure, then I'm motivated to do it. The motivating factor of motivation itself is pleasure. So these 2 faculties, pleasure, the sense of pleasure and a sense of drive, of motivation, correspond to Atik and Arich, the two levels of Keser. Because both of these faculties are not contained in the body somewhere. Your motivation is not done by part of your body. Unlike thinking and intellect is in the mind. Walking is in the feet. Feeling is in the heart. Seeing is in the eye. Wanting, a drive for something, is not in any particular part of the body. It's a makif. It surrounds the entire body. It's a part of the soul. It's a faculty of the soul that is beyond the body. Because you don't want with your heart or with your mind or with your foot. It's you that wants. Your very self. Same with pleasure. Where does pleasure come from? The enjoyment, the fact that you enjoy this. What do you enjoy things with? Do you enjoy things with your toes? With your eyes? No, you enjoy it with you. It's you enjoying it. It might be one of your senses that sense it. But the enjoyment of it is you, is your very self. Deeper than any other faculty. So therefore, Ratzon and Tainug are Arich and Atik. Are the outer level of Keser and the inner level of Keser. And so, by understanding the relationship that Ratzon and Tainug have to our personality, these ideas of Atik and Arich will be much more clear to us. And the idea of drawing down Arich into the world, or Atik into the world, or Pnimius Atik into the world, which we'll talk about as well, the avodah of a tzaddik, a yashar, and a chassid, we'll understand what that means by seeing how does Ratzon work on the other faculties, how does Tainug work on the other faculties. In other words, when you want something, and therefore you do it, so what was the relationship between the wanting and the doing? How did Ratzon assert itself in you? And that will make us understand how Arich can be revealed in the world. Tainug, when you have pleasure in something, and therefore you do it, what is pleasure? How does pleasure insert itself into your consciousness? And that will give us an understanding of how Atik can be revealed in this world. And then there's the third level of Pnimis Atik, the inner level of Atik, which we'll also understand, God willing.